Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am starting my very last Harry Potter reread vlog, and that is going to be, of course, for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I can't believe I'm finally here rereading this final book for the very first time, actually, and if you guys are interested in my complete playlist of all of these reading vlogs, I will definitely link that up in the cards above. So right now I am on page 199, that is chapter 13, the Muggle-Born Registration Commission. I don't have a ton of things to discuss right now. I do have a couple of deaths that I want to bring up. First of all, just so everybody knows, I will be talking about all of the spoilers in not only this vlog, but I have been talking about spoilers in all of these Harry Potter vlogs because I am assuming that all of you have at least watched all of the movies. So the first death that wrecked me was Hedwig, of course. Once again, it was just a really surprising death that came out of nowhere. You know, the Order of the Phoenix is basically trying to smuggle Harry from Privet Drive to the Burrow. Because Harry isn't quite 17 yet, he still has the trace on him, so they can't just apparate to the Burrow. Plus, they've put all kinds of enchantments on the Burrow to try to protect it, so I think that's another reason why they can't apparate or disapparate from the Burrow. Unfortunately, Hedwig ends up, you know, being in the crossfires of this battle. You know, the Death Eaters have shown up right away as soon as Harry and all of the Order have left Privet Drive. The Death Eaters knew that they would be traveling on this particular night because Snape sold them out. Yeah, like, there's just so many deaths that occur in this book that I'm just like, why, J.K. Rowling? Like, why? Why did you have to kill an animal that we all love so much? I mean, Hedwig is just the best. So yeah, I'm just not okay after her death. Another death that I was actually shocked by, I do not remember this occurring, was Mad-Eye Moody. He also dies in this battle when they're traveling to the Burrow. And then another thing that I wanted to bring up is this idea of talking Patronuses. So far in this book, we've seen this happen like 3 times, I think. A couple of times by Mr. Weasley and once by Kingsley, that they will send their Patronuses to a person of choice, and that Patronus can actually speak using that person's voice to send a message. And like, why is this just now becoming a thing? I feel like this is one of those plot holes in the Harry Potter series. I feel like this is something that could have been utilized in the earlier books, and it just seems like it was an idea that J.K. Rowling randomly had, and so she used it in this book. Yeah, I just find it to be kind of weird, and it doesn't really make all that much sense when you think about it. But yeah, I don't really have much more to add to the discussion right now. So far in the book, we are at the point where Harry, Ron, and Hermione are trying to infiltrate the Ministry of Magic, and this is kind of a complicated part of the story, but essentially, you know, there's the locket that Harry and Dumbledore thought that they got in the cave, but it turns out that this locket is a fake, and Harry found a note inside from a person called RAB, which we figure out in this book is Regulus Black, I believe is his name, who is Sirius's brother. And the note just says that I have the real locket and I'm going to destroy it, but we have since found out that Creature tried to destroy it himself, but he has been unlucky in doing so because there's really only a couple of ways that you can destroy a Horcrux. So now they are in the Ministry of Magic after Mundungus had the locket, and I think he was going to try to sell it, but then Umbridge confiscated it from him. So that is where we are in the book, and yeah, I'm just really excited to continue working through this book. I really only have like 3 more days to finish it before Contemporary-a-thon starts, so I'm a little under the wire right now, and unfortunately I can't just spend my days reading all day because I have a lot of work-related things going on right now that are kind of stressing me out. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this first update, and I will talk to you guys later. Hey guys, what's up? It is Saturday afternoon. I do have to leave for work in a few minutes, but I really wanted to do this quick update. So I have, I think, 2 main things that I want to discuss. The first thing is that, so Professor Umbridge is back, and she is as bad and terrible as ever. And when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are infiltrating the Ministry, Harry makes this realization. He sees this like glass eye in Professor Umbridge's, well, she's no longer Professor Umbridge, but Umbridge's door, her office door, that is like watching the workers across the way as they're like making pamphlets and stuff. And he realizes that it's Mad-Eye Moody's glass eye. She has been using Mad-Eye's eye to spy on people in the Ministry. After the poor man was killed in battle, she is using his eye. I can't. Like, I don't remember that, first of all. I really don't remember that being a part of the plot. But I literally sat there when I was listening to that part, because I am listening to the audiobook and reading the physical book at the same time. I just had to sit there for a few minutes because, like, what is happening? I don't know. Oh my god, I've said this before, I'll say it again. In some ways, she is more fucked up than Voldemort. Like, I can't even compute. And so I'm glad that as Harry is leaving her office, he takes the eye with him. Oh my god, that is just so fucked up. I just can't. And then the other scene that I want to bring up is the one scene that I have used a pink tab for. Pink tabs are what I use for either romantic scenes or scenes that I just love. And this scene is when Harry and Hermione are in Godric's Hollow and they have found his parents' grave. And so it says on their gravestone, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And at first, Harry freaks out because he's like, oh my god, is that like a Death Eater saying? Hermione says, it doesn't mean defeating death in the way the Death Eaters mean it, Harry. It means, you know, living beyond death, living after death. And then I thought this was really sweet. Let's see, a few pages later, they go to the house that Harry and his parents were living in when Voldemort killed them, and a sign pops up basically just talking about what happened at the house. And then all of these people have left messages for Harry. One person said, good luck, Harry, wherever you are. If you read this, Harry, we're all behind you. Long live Harry Potter. I had to put a little heart beside that. I just think that's really sweet. And I also love that at the end of the scene when they are in the cemetery, that Hermione conjures up like a wreath of Christmas roses to leave on the grave because Harry realizes that he doesn't have anything to leave. And yeah, I love that scene so much. So far in the book, I am at the point where they went to Mr. Lovegood's house, who is Luna's father, and he has told them all about the Deathly Hallows, which is the Resurrection Stone, the Elder Wand, and the Cloak of Invisibility. And Lovegood tried to sell them out so that he could get Luna back, because apparently they took Luna. I don't really remember why they took her, but it is what it is. And so they just narrowly escaped. And so that's gonna be it for this update for now. I'll probably talk to you guys at some point tomorrow. So this is the aftermath of being in an opera and having to wear a wig. My hair is crazy right now and I'm just feeling really tired and like a hot mess, but I thought it would be cool to include clips of me getting ready for today's performance. This was actually our closing performance of Joan of Arc, which is by Tchaikovsky, who wrote the music for Swan Lake and things like that. It was a really tiring production because being in the chorus for this one, we were on stage a lot of the time, so there wasn't a lot of downtime. So yeah, by the end of the show, we were all just kind of dead. So yeah, I do have a few things I want to discuss with Deathly Hallows. Right now, I am on page 480 exactly. That's chapter 30, the sacking of Severus Snape. So I wanted to start off with talking about some of the character deaths that have happened since I last updated you guys. So there's that whole battle at Malfoy Manor, which unfortunately results in Dobby's death. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. So they're burying Dobby by the cottage that Bill and Fleur live at. And Luna says, thank you so much, Dobby, for rescuing me from that cellar. It's so unfair that you had to die when you were so good and brave. I'll always remember what you did for us. I hope you're happy now. And nobody else can even say anything. They're all just like, yeah, thank you, Dobby. And they're just like, crying, and I love that, oh my god, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but Harry puts on the tombstone, "Here lies Dobby, a free elf." I literally put a sad face and a heart. Oh my god, that scene just gets me every single time. And then another death that surprised me was Peter Pettigrew. So he ends up killing himself in a way. I don't know if you guys recall in Goblet of Fire where he like cuts off his own hand. I can't remember why, but Voldemort gives him like a fake hand, like it's a hand made of silver or something. But to me this is a little confusing because I know that Voldemort has said numerous times that he only wants to kill Harry himself. He doesn't want anybody else to kill him, but yet in this scene in Malfoy Manor, Peter goes to like choke Harry, but then Harry says something like, "I saved your life, like what the hell, dude, why are you trying to kill me?" And so then he like promptly stops. And so because he showed this like act of mercy, his fake hand like turns on him and he ends up like choking himself and dying. And I was like, what the actual fuck is happening right now? Like, what? Then also another death that I completely forgot about is that Voldemort kills Grindelwald. Like, what? Like, I assumed that Grindelwald was killed like in the duel that him and Dumbledore were in 1945. Now, right now in the book, we are at the point where Harry, Ron, and Hermione have made their way back to Hogwarts. They are now staying in the Room of Requirement because that's where all of Dumbledore's army is, and they are trying to look for this other Horcrux that seems to be a mystery. But we do know that it is the diadem of Ravenclaw. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep trucking along. I'm definitely going to finish this tonight. It is right now 8 p.m. exactly on Sunday. So I think what I'm gonna do tomorrow is a final wrap up and review of not only this book, but the series as a whole. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, so it is Monday night. It is definitely time to do my final update for Deathly Hallows and to kind of give my wrap up and all of that. So I finished this late last night, and the first thing I want to discuss is Voldemort and the Elder Wand, and specifically, I'm still just kind of confused about how Voldemort believes that the Elder Wand ever belonged to him. So essentially, he takes the wand out of Dumbledore's grave because the wand does belong to Dumbledore. I think he's owned it for like over 50 years because he beat Grindelwald in a duel. Grindelwald was the previous owner. So it's been Dumbledore's wand, and Voldemort just takes it out of his grave. And so he just thinks it belongs to him, but the whole rule with this wand, and I guess with owning anyone's wand, is that you have to disarm the person who it belongs to in order for that wand to belong to you. So Voldemort has never disarmed Dumbledore. He has never dueled Dumbledore, so it just makes no sense that he thinks it belongs to him. And he even goes to lengths of finding Grindelwald, who is like wasting away in some prison, and he murders Grindelwald. But it's like, Grindelwald isn't even relevant to this whole situation at this point because, like I just established, Dumbledore won the wand from Grindelwald. So I don't understand why Voldemort thinks that killing Grindelwald would make the wand his. And then, you know, later in the book we see that Voldemort's logic brings him to killing Snape, which I guess does make sense in Voldemort's logic because Voldemort doesn't realize that Malfoy was the one who disarmed Dumbledore. It wasn't Snape. Yes, Snape killed Dumbledore, but that was after he was already disarmed of his wand. And so then that same night, Harry disarmed Malfoy. Therefore, the Elder Wand now belongs to Harry. Of course, Voldemort doesn't know that, and so he thinks that he needs to kill Snape in order for the wand to truly answer to him. So like that part makes sense to me. It's just the whole part of like killing Grindelwald. I think maybe in Voldemort's mind he feels like he needs to murder anyone who has ever owned the wand that is still living. I'm not really sure because they don't really go into his thinking with that. But yeah, this whole situation just leads me to think that Voldemort is really not like all that smart of a dude. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, which of course is his downfall. There's definitely many mistakes that he makes along the way that make it possible for Harry to take him down in the end. The other part that I wanted to talk about is Snape's redemption arc. So like I just talked talked about, Snape gets murdered by Voldemort, and Harry's right there because he is under an invisibility cloak. And so he collects Snape's memory, I think, through like his tears as he's dying. And so he goes into the Pensieve and he sees all these memories from Snape when he was growing up and all of that. And so we see how unhappy of a child Snape was and how much he loved Lily, who is Harry's mother, and how Snape was bullied. And then we go into everything leading up to the realization that Harry himself needs to die in order for Voldemort to die, because Harry himself is actually a Horcrux, because Voldemort unknowingly made him one the night that he killed Harry's parents. But you know what? Rereading this book this time, I'm just not convinced about this whole redemption arc. I'm just not convinced that all of the events in Snape's past validate the way that he specifically treats Harry throughout all of these books. I vaguely remember, you know, after reading this book the first time and after watching the movie a couple of times, that I was totally Team Snape. He really is this great person who was playing double agent, you know, for Dumbledore and Voldemort, but he was really on Dumbledore and Harry's side. But rereading it, now I'm just like, I'm just like not convinced about his character. He's definitely one of those characters that I feel like is kind of morally gray, and yes, he was ultimately playing for the right side, but I just like, I really do hate the way that he treated Harry throughout all of these books. I feel like if he had given Harry a chance, he would have come to love and care for him as much as all of the other adults in Harry's life loved him. And, you know, he was just so obsessed with Lily, and you would think that because he loved Lily so much, yes, he hated James, but you would think because he loved Lily so much that he really would come to love Harry, but that's so not the case. And I think that's mainly because Harry looks so much like his father. And I guess there are traits in Harry's personality that are like James, but all in all, his personality is much more like his mother. So again, you think that Snape would come to appreciate that about Harry. But yeah, I'm feeling very conflicted about Snape's character. I don't even really know how to articulate my thoughts. As you can see, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Another point that I wanted to bring up is that I love that this book talks a lot about Dumbledore's past, because it brings to light the fact that Dumbledore really isn't this all-knowing and perfect character. He definitely has his flaws, especially when he was younger, you know, with his friendship with Grindelwald and things like that. But I just really like that we see all of these complex layers to his character, and that he's not just a one-note, you know, mentor for Harry. And I really adore the scene when, you know, Harry has died at this point and they're in like this white King's Cross kind of place, and he sees the part of Voldemort's soul that is now like dead. It's like this shriveled up thing under a bench or something. And so I love this whole conversation that Dumbledore has with Harry at this point. And the one quote that I really loved is, this is right before Harry decides to go back to the real world. And Dumbledore says, "Do not pity the dead, Harry. Pity the living, and above all, those who live without love." This quote heavily reminds me of a quote that Dumbledore said in the first book. Oh, I know what quote it is because I pulled out my copy of Philosopher's Stone. Dumbledore says to Harry, "After all, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure." So that definitely reminds me of the quote that I just said from Deathly Hallows. And also another quote that reminds me of Deathly Hallows is Dumbledore says, like a page later, this is still in Philosopher's Stone, "To have been loved so deeply, even though the person who loved us is gone, will give us some protection forever." Yeah, so I love that there's kind of like full circle moments between, you know, Philosopher's Stone and Deathly Hallows. That definitely brings to mind the whole quote, you know, throughout this book I open at the close with the Resurrection Stone and all of that.
Not my daughter, you bitch!
Okay, so those are all of the discussion points that I wanted to bring up. As far as my thoughts about this book overall, there are so many things that happen in this book. I think it's just paced so well. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of, like, especially the first half of this book because it seems like it's slower paced, you know, because Ron, Harry, and Hermione are like living in different forests and they're just doing a lot of strategizing and thinking, and there's just not a ton of action. But I don't know, I just think that between this novel and Half-Blood Prince, I think they are the most well written in my opinion, which makes sense because they are the last two books in the series, and I would expect J.K. Rowling's writing style to improve over the course of this series. And, you know, rereading this series for the first time as an adult, I am reminded of just how well thought out this whole series is, you know, between the character and the world and all of those things. You know, there's a reason that there is a Harry Potter world at Universal Studios. It's just that amazing. And while I also recognize that this series is not without its flaws and its author is also not without her flaws, it's still a series that of course means so much to me, and I know means to so many people of my generation being the millennials. And I definitely think that this is going to be a series that I'm probably going to want to reread every few years. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed this whole rereading vlog series. Again, if you want to check out those vlogs, they will be linked up in the cards above. And if you're someone like me who hasn't read these books in quite a few years, I highly recommend a reread. You know, you can definitely go the audiobook route or just reading them physically. I kind of did both formats. I would read the physical book while listening to the audiobook. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, and I hope you would consider pushing that like button and subscribing, and I thank you in advance if you do. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!